Chapter 19. Piper. When she recounted her dream for Percy, the ship's toilets exploded. "No way are you two going down there alone," Percy said. Leo ran down the hall waving a wrench. "Man, did you have to destroy the plumbing?" Percy ignored him. Water ran down the gangway. The hall rumbled as more pipes burst and sinks overflowed. Piper guessed that Percy hadn't meant to cause so much damage, but his glowering expression made her want to leave the ship as soon as possible. "We'll be all right," Annabeth told him. "Piper foresaw the two of us going down there, so that's what needs to happen." Percy glared at Piper like it was all her fault. "And this Mimas dude, I'm guessing he's a giant?" "Probably," she said. "Polyphrian called him our brother." "And a bronze statue surrounded by fire," Percy said. "And these other things you mentioned, Mackies?" "Makai," Piper said. "I think the word means battles in Greek, but I don't know how that applies exactly." "That's my point," Percy said. "We don't know what's down there. I'm going with you." "No." Annabeth put her hand on his arm. "If the giants want our blood, the last thing we need is a boy and a girl going down there together, remember? They want one of us each for their big sacrifice." "I'll get Jason," Percy said. "And the two of us—" "Seaweed Brain, are you implying that two boys can handle this better than two girls?" No, but—" Annabeth kissed him. "We'll be back before you know it." Piper followed her upstairs before the whole lower deck could flood with toilet water. An hour later, the two of them stood on a hill overlooking the ruins of ancient Sparta. They had already scouted a modern city which, strangely, reminded Piper of Albuquerque. A bunch of low, boxy, whitewashed buildings sprawled across a plain at the foot of some purplish mountains. Annabeth had insisted on checking the archaeology museum, then the giant metal statue of the Spartan warrior in the public square, then the Natural Museum of Olives and Olive Oil. Yes, that's a real thing. Piper had learned more about olive oil than she ever wanted to know, but no giants attacked them. They found no statues of chained gods either. Annabeth seemed reluctant to check the ruins on the edge of town, but finally they ran out of other places to look. There wasn't much to see. According to Annabeth, the hill they stood on had once been Sparta's Acropolis, the highest point in the main fortress, but it was nothing like the massive Athenian Acropolis that Piper had seen in her dreams. The weathered slope was covered with dead grass, rocks, and stunted olive trees. Below, the ruins stretched out as far as maybe a quarter-mile. Limestone blocks, a few broken walls, and some tiled holes in the ground like wells. Piper thought about her dad's most famous movie, King of Sparta, and how the Spartans were portrayed as invincible supermen. She found it sad that their legacy had been reduced to a field of rubble and a small modern town with an olive oil museum. She wiped the sweat from her forehead. "You think if there was a 30-foot-tall giant around here, we'd see him?" Annabeth stared at the distant shape of the Argo II floating above downtown Sparta. She fingered the red coral pendant of her necklace, a gift from Percy when they started dating. "You're thinking about Percy?" Piper guessed. Annabeth nodded. Since she'd come back from Tartarus, Annabeth had told Piper a lot of scary things that had happened down there. At the top of her list, Percy controlling a tide of poison and suffocating the goddess Aculus. "He seems to be adjusting," Piper said. "He's smiling more often. You know he cares about you more than ever." Annabeth sat, her face suddenly pale. "I don't know why it's hitting me so hard all of a sudden. I can't quite get that memory out of my head. How Percy looked when he was standing at the edge of chaos." Maybe Piper was just picking up on Annabeth's uneasiness, but she started to feel agitated as well. She thought about what Jason had said last night. Part of me wanted to see my eyes stop fighting. She tried her best to reassure him, but she still worried. Like that Cherokee hunter who changed into a serpent, all demigods had their share of bad spirits inside, fatal flaws. Some crises brought them out. Some lines should not be crossed.